What is going on, guys? Nick here, and welcome back to another episode of Nick Sports Speakeasy. Today, we're going to discuss the Week 10 recap of the season. Obviously, we still got the Denver Broncos and the Buffalo Bills, but Houston, we have a problem. CJ Stroud, the second week in a row, comes back down with less than a minute left, leads the Texans downfield to a game-winning field goal. CJ Stroud just beat Joe Burrow on the road. Joe Burrow is one of the best QBs in the league. Top 5 easily, and Cincinnati could be a potential Super Bowl contender, at the very least make it to the championship game. And CJ Stroud, as a rookie, not only did that, but he has 16 passing touchdowns, 2 interceptions in 9 games. That's pretty impressive, and the Texans are on route to they could make the playoffs. They could, and they could not. We'll see. But CJ Stroud, man, is just unbelievable. This kid was a second overall pick this year. Should have went to the national title game had the kicker on Ohio State didn't miss the field goal. They probably would have thrashed TCU just as bad, if not worse, than Georgia did. And Georgia already beat them 62-7 or something like that. And this kid is unbelievable. DeMeco Ryans, as a first-year head coach, is doing really well. But I think a lot of that team's success, more of it has to do with Stroud than Ryans. You got Tank Dell, Noah Brown, a very solid offensive line. Houston's O-line, it's gotten a lot better. It used to struggle, especially the years they had Watson. But even when they had Watson in his prime, Watson was winning 4 or 5 games a year. CJ has the it factor that Watson I don't think ever had. And another thing I was going to say is that watch out for CJ Stroud, potential playoff push. Now, the next game, we're only going to talk about the top tier games. We're not going to talk about like Jets and Raiders. That was a boring game. No one really cares. So, although I do think Zach Wilson played a really not a great game because he had the game in an interception, but I think Zach Wilson is making a lot of strides as a third-year QB. I think if you give Rodgers another year and then give Wilson one more chance as a year 5 guy, and if he screws up again, move on. I'll say that again. But Josh Dobbs is an absolute stud. Josh Dobbs just literally won his second game in a row with the Minnesota Vikings. He beat the Saints. The Saints almost came back at the end when Jameis Winston came in as a backup when Derek Carr got hurt. But Josh Dobbs, man, the story of Josh Dobbs is just unbelievable, and it continues to get better. And, man, this guy won again, and he's going to continue to lead. Maybe he'll get he's probably not going to get a mega deal, but he'll get a Geno Smith-like contract, like 3 years, $30 million, 30 years, like $60 million, in that range. Probably like the 40 million, 50 million range. But the next where I'm going to go is that the Colts and Patriots, that's another game that who really cares? You know, Colts can potentially make a playoff push, but New England season's probably over. I mean, not probably, is over. Bill Belichick might get fired. I think Belichick's one of the greatest coaches ever, but to be fair, Mac Jones, I think a lot of his developmental issues falls on the blame of Belichick. Everyone's like, Nick, Belichick's a 6-time Super Bowl champion. He has 8 rings. How could you say something like that? But Bill Belichick's play calling standard with Tom Brady. Look, Bill Belichick deserves success for the Patriots, but I think it was more Brady than Belichick. I think it was 70% Brady, 30% Belichick. And now we're seeing that Mac Jones went to the playoffs as a rookie. Was McDaniels his coordinator as a rookie? I'm pretty sure he was. McDaniels, he's not a good head coach, but he's a very good offensive mind. He's a good offensive coordinator. A defensive coordinator is calling plays for a guy like Mac Jones. That's problematic. And that's why Mac Jones, I feel like he's struggling, part into blame for struggling. Now, maybe he'll get another chance, maybe he won't, but it looks like the Mac Jones era over in New England is over. And next year, he has 1 more year on his contract. They're definitely going to decline his 5th-year option. So what do you do with Mac Jones? Do you trade him? Do you sit him on the bench and draft a rookie, let them compete, let Mac Jones start a few games, and then put the rookie in? What do you do? It's a weird situation you're in. I'm not even talking about the Giants game. That was terrible. But I'm a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, as you see. My Buccaneers got the dub against Tennessee, as I called. Okay, Tampa Bay played really well. Baker was making throws all over the field, throwing dots to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, as Brady did. I'm not saying Baker's anything on Brady's level. I'm just saying every QB that comes to Tampa throws dots to those guys because those guys are unbelievable. Mike Evans, 1,000-yard seasons every year for like the last 8-9 seasons since he's been in the league. One of the more consistent receivers ever played a game. And Tampa got the win. Will Levis didn't play particularly bad, but didn't play particularly great either. And our defense was able to hold them. And, we got the dub. Now, this is the game I want to talk about, is the Lions and the Chargers. Man, that game was unbelievable. Jared Goff and Justin Herbert. I feel bad for Herbert. Another Justin Herbert legendary performance is wasted. He had 5 straight touchdown drives, and the Chargers still find a way to blow games for this guy. Detroit went on a last-second field goal, 41-38. That was unbelievable. Now, Jared Goff is a guy who I was wrong about. I take full accountability. Jared Goff is a guy who I thought was a guy that was a product of Sean McVay's offensive scheme, but he wasn't. He went to Detroit, and he played extremely, extremely, extremely well, and he's surrounded by guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, a good offensive line, a solid defense. The defense is good, but not great because they just gave up 38 on Herbert. They got 38 pieced. But what a freaking game, man. What a game. Now, another game I want to talk about is the Browns and Ravens. The Browns and Ravens is unbelievable. They were up 24-3 at the half, I believe. They came back. A couple Lamar Jackson interceptions led the Browns back, and Watson beat Jackson 33-31. They won on a last-second field goal. I'm going to say this loud and clear. Lamar Jackson's a good guy, great kid, great quarterback. The problem with Lamar is that he'll play good, really well to start off the game, but then as the game folds on, there's some games that he's thrown away throughout his career. And I hope I want to see the guy win a Super Bowl. I like Lamar Jackson. It's just, I think it can happen, but right now, that game, that's not who Lamar is as a player. Lamar's better than that, and I believe the Ravens will be back. But 7-3 is still a really good record. And the AFC North is the best division in the league, no question. The AFC North, all 4 AFC North teams are more than likely going to make. Imagine being in last place and still making the playoffs. Usually last place is the 2-10, 2-8 team, like the Giants per se. But nah, they might actually legitimately have a shot at the playoffs. Now, the last game, because I like keeping these snippets under 10 minutes or less. I don't like it to be 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes. The last game I am going to discuss is which one would be good. I would say the Hawks and Commanders is a good game too because Sam Howell played another good game. Sam Howell is one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the league. He's sacked 44 times. This was before today's game. Sacked 44 times. He's hurried 141 times, and he's QB hit. He's been hit at least 80 plus times. That's unbelievable. To get this kid some friggin' protection. This is why Carson Wentz stunk with them. I think Carson Wentz still could start. He's with the Rams now, and they have a bye week, so Carson Wentz is more than likely to be the starter in LA. But this is why Wentz failed in Washington, because nobody in Washington, you have nobody blocking. You have nobody there to block. Washington, you need to draft an offensive lineman. And because they're a decent team, they're 4-6. That's not a great record. That's not a terrible record. They're not going to have a high enough pick to do that. That's the problem. Guys like the Penn State tackle and then Joe Alt, the two of them are going to be off the board. So you got to look later in the first for a lineman. That's not going to be as good of a prospect, which sucks for them. You want one of those two guys. They could trade up, but when have we seen a team trade up for a lineman? Very rarely does it happen. Usually people 9 out of 10 times, people trade up for a QB, and that's it, So that's that. But Arizona, I called it. I said Arizona was going to get a win. They were 1-8, but they had Kyler Murray, and they won on a last-second field goal against Atlanta. And I was right, and I called it. I'm not trying to sound cocky, but the Cardinals got the win against the Atlanta Falcons, and they won. So, anyway, guys, that is pretty much it. But one more thing I'm going to say is that I do think Atlanta is going to push themselves out of draft range, like getting a high pick. They're going to win at least 4 to 5 games this year. I would say at least 4. They're going to push themselves from the number 1 pick to like the 4th or 5th pick, and that is good for the Giants. I'm a Bucks, and the Giants are like my second team, so I'm hoping the New York Giants are able to get a prospect like Drake May. Caleb is okay. I'm not huge on Caleb, or the Penn State tackle, or Joe Alt from Notre Dame, or Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm looking at those guys over Caleb. Now, anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in to my episode, my little snippet here. Enjoy. And, like, comment, subscribe below.